Hi, I'm Hazel from SnapShot. You may hear some people going on about how animals such as insects can be pollinators, but what actually are pollinators? Well, put simply, pollinators pollinate things. So really we need to begin by asking, what is pollination? Pollination is the fertilization part of a plant's sexual reproduction. This isn't actually that very different from animal sexual reproduction. They just do it planty style. Typically, each flower on a plant has both male and female parts. The male part is called the stamen, which produces pollen. Pollen can be thought of as the plant's equivalent of sperm. Each plant produces a lot of pollen. It's microscopic and unique to the species. Unlike sperm, pollen grains have a tough coating called the exine, which can preserve the pollen for up to 240 million years and maybe more. The exine coating also has a distinctive shape, meaning that we can tell exactly what plant species the pollen has come from, and therefore which plants are around at any time and place we find the pollen. Anyway, the pollen needs to be transferred to the female part of the flower, the carpel. When the pollen hits the top of the carpel, the stigma, it travels down the style into the ovary, where it will fertilize an egg cell in the ovule. It will create a seed, and we can say that the plant has been pollinated. Pollination is, therefore, the way the pollen from the male parts of the plant get to the ovule and the egg in the female parts of the plant. Because the majority of plants are actually hermaphrodites, plants could actually self-pollinate. Essentially, the plants would be super inbred, and it doesn't allow for new variation. This is risky because the population can then become extinct. So for stationary plants to breed with each other, they need help. They need pollinators. Pollinators will visit the flowers of the same species and transfer the pollen from one individual to another. Some pollinators pollinate by accident. For example, butterflies, moths, bats, and hummingbirds. They are simply looking for nectar, which is a sweet, sugary liquid that the plant produces to lure the pollinators in. They drink the nectar, which is akin to a high-energy sports drink, and the pollen rubs off onto the pollinator. However, pollinators don't just go for nectar. They also go for the pollen itself. While nectar is nice and sugary and provides a lot of energy for mating and flying, some insects, such as solitary bees, collect the pollen to provide for their young. They build nests and stock them with the pollen, which then provides a high-protein foodstuff for when their young hatch. Solitary bees have special adaptations to carry pollen, such as brushes and combs on their legs. And some bees also have crops where they eat and store the pollen, much like a bird's crop. And as they gather pollen in this way, they can pollinate flowers in large quantities. Of course, it's in the plant's interest to get pollinated just as much as it's in the insect's interest to find nectar and pollen. So many plants have special adaptations themselves to lure the pollinators in. Some flowers have gradually become shaped to resemble an insect's opposite sex. So the unfortunate critter flies down, tries to mate with the flower, and then leaves frustrated and broken-hearted, but covered in pollen. The bright colours of flowers also attract pollinators, but outside of our human visual range, they also have patterns in UV light. Many insects can see UV light, and the patterns act to attract them and guide them into the central business end of the flower. Whilst on those flowers, the pollinators can get up to some business of their own. Sometimes males will even guard patches of flowers as a mating territory. Yet with all these fancy mechanisms in place, pollinators will most likely visit plants of more than one species, and then we get something quite special, cross-pollination, which forms hybrids. A lot of plant species have more than their expected sets of genes, can even create hybrids that are more successful than their parent plants. This is rare in the animal kingdom, as the offspring of two species are sterile. Animals such as ligers and mules are not able to reproduce and become a valid species in their own right. Plants can reproduce within their species and chop, change, morph, acquire new variation and adaptations, and create entirely new hybrid species because of the help of pollinators. So next time you see a meadow with lots of flowers and insects buzzing around, remember you're just looking at one big field full of sex. I hope you're happy and well, and I'll see you soon.